So recently I had a chance to attend a Live Free event hosted by Turning Point at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. What you'll see today are some snippets from some of the question and answer session that was held by Charlie Kirk and some of the students at UNC Charlotte. It's very interesting. This was my first time really going to a Charlie Kirk Turning Point event, and I must say, I was thoroughly impressed with Charlie. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Biblical Conservative channel, where we come against the anti-God, anti-biblical, anti-human, anti-American spirit that is looking to prevail in this land. Please be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. So what you'll see in this video are the Q&A session that Charlie Kirk held at his Live Free event at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Now I must say, I've been to UNCC a number of times. That campus gets prettier and prettier the more I go there. So shout out to UNCC for the way they are really elevating their campus. And I must say that this Turning Point event, I've heard a little bit about Charlie. I didn't know much about Charlie, but I'll have to give Charlie props. He knows his stuff, and I was thoroughly impressed. So shout out to Turning Point. I think it'll be good to have some kind of collaboration, if you will, in the future, because I think there's a number of things that we have in common. But here's the first video here. Now, before you watch this video, keep in mind who's asking the question. And that's the frustration I have with this whole racism deal. There is a supply and demand problem when it comes to racism. There's not enough supply, and the demand is high because they're using race, like I've said over and over and over again, they're using race to try and destroy America. And black people are ignorant to this fact. It's white liberals, in particular, white liberal women and white liberal men, that are continuing to talk about race because they want to use it to destroy this land. Listen to this question and watch how Charlie responds.
To address your previous assertion that race means nothing, critical race theory is not being taught in schools. It is an academic theory that's pretty much delegated only to higher academia. They're not teaching it in schools. Your explanation of it was an oversimplification. You addressed the real history behind it, unlike most people. And why, if race means nothing, does it affect our history? Say 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Why is there such evil history with something that supposedly means nothing?
Okay, so first of all, you're wrong. It is being taught in elementary schools. I'll give you an example. Not only is it being taught, it's being enforced. So in Denver, there is a playground where they say white families not allowed. Would you support that?
That seems like a ridiculous edge case.
So I'll give you another example. Actually, in the National Education Association's training manual, which is the largest teacher union in the country, they had a seminar on how to teach critical race theory to kids. That sounds like it's in our schools, doesn't it?
What that is it's literally just common sense. It's saying that this is real history, this is what has happened in the past.
Wait, so
that matters.
Okay, got it. So, for example, would you say that black-only dormitories is wrong?
It certainly creates a sense of community. I don't see any problem with that. We have sororities, we have male-only dorms.
Right, so racial differences are irrelevant and immaterial. Chromosomal differences actually do matter. But let me ask you a question. Are there differences between races?
No, not biologically.
Then why would we have different dormitories for races?
Culture.
Segregation is what you're arguing for, right?
Right.
How is it not segregation to have blacks in their own dorm?
God, you just pigeonholed me, essentially. Essentially, just like you distracted from my original argument.
No, you did that to yourself. Let's reemphasize. So Ibram X. Kendi argues, who is one of the leading thinkers of critical theory, race theory, discrimination today to atone for discrimination of yesterday. We have black-only graduation ceremonies at Columbia University, black-only dormitories across the country, for example, at Western Washington University. Can you join me today in saying black-only dormitories are evil, wrong, and it's segregation?
You still haven't answered my question about why does this history simultaneously mean nothing?
Well, I'm
And
happy to answer
also-
that, but the fact you're dodging segregation in America, why is that?
I'm arguing against
So
segregation.
you're against black-only dormitories?
Yes.
Well, you said it was a force in community, and then for your not for critical race
That's
theory,
an option. We have choice.
oh, so you could choose to segregate.
That's a pigeonhole.
What do you think of white-only dormitories? Would you support white-only dormitories?
Everybody has a choice.
So I think white-only and black-only anything is evil and wrong. That's why I hate critical theory and critical race theory, because when it's put in practice, you start to discriminate people based on race. So we're now south of the Mason-Dixon line in North Carolina. We did a lot of work to get rid of segregation in this country. Why are you trying to bring it back?
What work?
The Civil Rights Act of 1964.
In this state?
Yeah, actually, in this state. Are there black-only bathrooms out there I'm unaware of, or white-only bathrooms?
Nah.
Right. A lot of work was done in this state.
And it's funny, you saw how that guy resorted to name calling when the argument is wrong, because liberals have no facts, no truth to stand on. It's all on deception. And this whole critical race theory deal is all deception. They want to bring back segregation. Like I said, I keep repeating, they want to bring back segregation. The liberals are the real racists because they're using race. They're using that to divide and conquer, to subvert America. And it's always the same old tired argument. They go to anecdotal evidence. They go to Tulsa Race Massacre and things like that. Was there racism in the past? Yes. As a black man, have I experienced some form of racism? Yes. But I don't allow that to hamper me, to hinder me, because I have God inside of me. That's greater than anything a white man, brown man, black man can do to try to prevent from me achieving what God has for me. There's no limitation to what I can achieve as long as I keep my eyes on God and remain in fellowship and relationship with Him. There's nothing nobody else can do. The choice is mine. And that's what conservatism is all about. It's saying that you have the individual ability based on your choices to decide how your destiny is shaped. Liberalism is the complete opposite. They believe the state, elites, tell you what you can and cannot do. They pick winners and losers. That's the difference. And these people keep talking about critical race theory not being taught in schools. It is being taught in school. They're segregating children based upon race. They're bringing back elements of Jim Crow. They're bringing back segregation, all in the name of equity. They're dumbing down standards, all in the name of equity. Everything that is considered black is lower class, lower standard. That's bigoted. They're saying black people, you're not smart enough. You don't have the inherent agency to decide things for your own, so we'll do it for yourself. We'll lower the standards. We'll make it an even playing field by lowering the standards. But what that does, that harms the people that you're looking to help. It harms them.
What's in that book?
The whole book is your definition.
How about this? The one I used. Call everything racist till you control it.
Oh, so wait, but then that literally means that critical race theory can mean basically anything you want it to, right? Like,
Only if you're calling it racist till you control it. I mean, I'm defining critical race theory in the modern American context as that. We can go back to Herbert Marcuse, One-Dimensional Man, or Jacques Derrida, or Michel Foucault, but the most agreed upon academic theory is Intro to Critical Race Theory, 1991 by Derek Bell.
Yeah. Wait, but
Are you familiar with that literature?
well, yeah, I read the book, but I don't remember anything about it. It was like let's be honest, nobody remembers the books they read.
Sounds like a great value proposition.
But like, but you didn't go to college, so I guess you didn't know.
So let me ask you though, does that mean that I'm not able to have this conversation with you? Because I actually remember the book and you didn't, and you paid for it.
There's this thing called scholarship.
Oh, so somebody else paid for you not to remember the book. Oh, some wealthy donor or taxpayer paid for you to not remember the book.
I have a question. You're wealthy nowadays.
Many of them are in this room. Thank you guys for your wonderful support. We have over 130,000 grassroots donors at Turning Point USA, 130,000. I think we have some people in the back that chip in $5, $10, $15. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. We are a grassroots funded operation. But let me give you another example. I'll give you 5 things that critical race theory believes. Number 1, the notion that racism is ordinary and everywhere. Number 2, the idea of interest convergence, otherwise known as intersectionality. Number 3, the social construction of race, meaning that there is a social construction around race in our society. 4, idea of storytelling and counter storytelling. Number 5 is that no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you do, you cannot remove racism from your society. Those are 5 pillars of critical race theory based on Derek Bell's Intro to Critical Race Theory. Does that ring a bell?
Yes. Okay, so let me stick with this. What do you think?
What happened?
My turn. My bad.
Forgot.
Wait,
You
am I
said
not-
OS.
It's not encouraged.
Oh, okay. What was the third point? My mind is
The
dying.
social construction of race.
The social construction of race. You don't think that race is at least partially socially constructed?
Depends how you define it.
So, like, what defines where one race ends and where one race begins?
Depends who you're asking. I think race is completely and totally irrelevant. Do you think race is relevant?
No.
Human race.
Okay, then why are we talking about race all the time? Why are we talking about critical race theory?
Well, you brought it up at first when you were doing a speech.
Remember I said it was a lie from the pit of hell that we should repudiate and stop talking about it?
So, to answer your question,
I know. So
I don't think that race means anything, and I guess you don't either, right?
Yeah.
Right, so then why do you keep bringing up race whenever you're on or speaking on a stage? I am not speaking on a stage bringing up critical race theory. You are.
I'm bringing up how critical race theory destroys society and how we shouldn't talk about race all the time.
Okay, but you're bringing up race.
Race theory. Race.
Okay, so what's the second word in that?
Yeah, it's race, but it's a theory of how to view race, which is a mind virus pathogen destroying America, of which I said again, just to reemphasize for those in the back, we could replay the tape, we could throw the red flag to go watch it over again. I said that what? Race means nothing. I care about your actions, your character, and most importantly, your soul. Thank you for being here tonight.
Here we go again. Another person, another student. Look, this is a sad state of affairs. This is a sad example of the educational system in America. People are being told what to think instead of actually reading, using critical thinking skills to come to a conclusion and a place in their own mind on certain topics. These people are reciting the same talking points that they hear from liberal media, that they see from TikTok or social media. Same people. And you'll listen, you'll see that this person is squandering the money of folks that have sent him to school. Now, like I said, Charlie was on point. I have a lot of respect for Charlie. He knows his stuff. He was on point. Now, I'll put these snippets and probably do a short on these because it's so much. This is so rich. This content is so rich. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And what you're gonna see here is sad that young black men, young black people have been so brainwashed, so conditioned, so mentally manipulated that they think that police officers are out here shooting and killing black people. That black people, especially black men, are being hunted. When the actual people who are harming black men the most is the government, big government, by the policies they've instituted, by essentially saying that the man is no longer needed, by encouraging the elevation of black women, by distorting and destroying the natural order, God's order, by relegating the black man to subservient status in the black community, which in turn leads to crime, which in turn leads to drug use, which in turn leads to incarceration. All of those things feed into that. But the narrative is, no, police are out here shooting black people, unarmed black people. That has been debunked. But nevertheless, that narrative, that lie is still being propagated. It's still being pervasive in the black community and in black media and in black music.
Just have to acknowledge the racism that happens around you. That is all.
What racism happens around them?
Let's say that a racist police officer shoots me, right, and kills me, right? For you to be a white man and you see that and don't say anything about it, I believe that my community would be upset about that. Now, all you have to do as a white man, you don't have to get on the internet or on Twitter and say, I'm sorry for being white, but you should at least acknowledge the racism that happens around you.
Okay, well, yeah, if an individual act of racism happens.
That is just taking accountability for what happens around you.
Hold on a second. First of all, I don't have to be accountability for a whole race, do I? Why do I have to be accountable for the white race?
For yourself.
Right, so I'm racist, I'll take responsibility for
You
that.
probably are not racist,
Well,
but
thank you. So then why do I have to
but-
comment on somebody else's racism?
But what you should do is take accountability for the racism around you. Not pretend that it doesn't happen around you. Like, again, the example that I gave you, that if I was shot by a police officer and you found out that person was racist, right? Now,
But why would you say take responsibility? How can I take responsibility for somebody else's actions?
What you should do is just take accountability and say, hey, yes, that was racist, instead of saying, no, that officer wasn't racist.
Well, hold on. You got to show me an instance and an example, but we're talking about such a micro problem that doesn't exist. Do you know that a black person is 18 and a half times more likely to shoot and kill a police officer than a police officer is to go and shoot an unarmed black man?
But is that the question that I asked you?
No, you asked a hypothetical about if I'm going to take accountability for a racist police officer. But man, do you understand, if I inverted it on you, would you take accountability for all the blacks killing police in America?
That was funny.
No, would you? No, why don't you take accountability for the blacks killing police in New York?
I wouldn't take accountability for it, but what I would say is yes, there are a lot of black people in my community who do dumb things to other black people and to other white people. What I would not do is just pretend that it doesn't happen, so that, like I said, you as a white man has to do the same thing.
I acknowledge it happens. I also acknowledge it's rarer than lightning striking you when you're outside.
That's it.
But let me ask you, who is Tony Timpton?
That's all I wanted you to. That's all I wanted you to do. Thank you.
I acknowledge it's rare, and I'm not going to have to take responsibility for an entire race at all. It's wrong and it's terrible. I wish we could have continued.
Now, to round things off, this is a great snippet here. This young lady gets it. And we need more and more people like her, because she is stating the facts of what's truly happening in the black community. In the black community, genocide is taking place. In New York City, more babies are aborted, black babies are aborted than born. Our population has remained stagnant for generations. Over 20 million babies, black babies, have been aborted since Roe v. Wade. Abortion is the #1 killer of black people, but no one wants to talk about it. The genocide, the population control that's happening in the black community. This is what is happening. And it all goes back to Margaret Sanger. It all goes back to the eugenics movement and how Margaret Sanger and the eugenicists partnered with people in the black community for their own destruction. So-called black elites. That is what must be changed. We are not victims. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness.
Discovered to be the most effective or creative way to combat the lies regarding this genocidal agenda.
I like you. It is black genocide. Thank you for saying that out loud. I say that, the media loses their mind. But it disproportionately impacts the black community. Life is beautiful, and life begins at conception. And we are seeing disproportionate abortion clinics, Planned Parenthood clinics, and the founder was a eugenicist, period. The founder of Planned Parenthood was a eugenicist. Now, are the current leaders of it eugenicists? We don't know, but if you were trying to exterminate the black population, how would you do things any differently than what Planned Parenthood is doing right now? So how do we go back against it? We gotta play offense. We gotta explain the pro-life issue. We gotta talk about why life is beautiful. And honestly, we also gotta step up, those of us that are Christians and conservatives, with the resources, the charities, the services to make sure that we get rid of the myth of unwanted children. There is not an unwanted child in America. We just need to make sure people that are in crisis, that are affected, are able to have adoption services and the services necessary. That's the way I lead on it. But honestly, I yield back to Malcolm X, who number one did call it a black genocide.
Sure did.
And I don't agree with Malcolm X on everything, but you know what else? You know who he blamed? The white liberal. Right. This is a tyranny of the white liberal going after the black community. Let me just kind of ask you a question in closing here. What is your message to white liberals out there that are trying to push this in the black community?
That if you don't do the research and if you don't understand, then shut up. Do the research. do the work. Understand why that over, I think it's 88% of Planned Parenthoods are strategically placed in black and minority neighborhoods. Why? Let's reverse engineer. Why is it like in the state of New York, there are more black babies being murdered in the womb than are alive? So the words of Margaret Sanger has turned out to be prophetic. And also, the abortion agenda is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is money in dead baby parts. You can find it. It was found in food, cosmetics, everywhere. So this is the facts. This is the truth.
Give it up for her. That's right.